All right, everyone, we'll get going here in just another minute. But to check to make sure that the sound is working, it is spring here in Michigan. And so my favorite thing about spring is the start of baseball season. So type in the little question box what your favorite part of spring is, whether it's the weather changing, the flowers, the gardening, the baseball. Let me know what your favorite thing is. So that lets me know that you can hear me, and we will give everybody about another minute, maybe 2 minutes to get here, and we'll get started. Yes, lots of other people in the north just happy to be done with snow in the cold in the morning. Roy, Frank, I'm in the same boat. Happy that the car just starts right up. There's no scraping. There's nothing else. All right, it is 1 after, so that's we'll get going here and get this on the move, because we like to keep these webinars short because we know everybody's got plenty of things to do. So you are here at the 20-minute live demo of our new product, Blumira XDR. I am kind of your host, your MC today. My name is John Eric Cornelier. I'm part of our marketing team here. Along with me is Jack Robb, who is one of our solutions engineers. In my opinion, one of our top 2 solutions engineers that we have here at Blumira. Jack, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hey, everybody, happy to be here.
Great. All right, Jack. So as you know, but let's make sure everybody else knows, Blumira's mission in life is really to make security more affordable, more accessible to SMBs. We know how hard it is to run some of those legacy enterprise products. And so if we can do things for you that makes your life easier, that gives you better security, that's what we're here for. And that's what we're doing today. As we get going, if anything, questions pop up, feel free to drop them in the chat. We've got some people there that can answer them quickly there. Or if they are something that everybody should know about, I will stop and interrupt Jack and make sure we get that question kind of answered live. And the goal is to save a few minutes on the back end here to make sure we have time to answer any questions. So feel free to drop them in the chats or drop them in the Q&A session, and we will get them answered for you. All right, 3 slides, I promise that's it. Then we'll get straight into the demo. But just want to make sure we're all on the same page and talking about XDR and what is XDR. So XDR stands for Extended Detection and Response. And the main thing here, and in the Gartner kind of description there, it's all about unifying security tools. It's about creating a network. It's about visibility across things. It's not one isolated tool. It's getting everything together as best you can to be able to deliver the best security possible. There's kind of 4 pillars, as we like to call them, that kind of go into XDR. 1, again, integrating all of those security tools together. 2, kind of ties into having those logs back in one place. Everything in one place means correlated data, better detections, easier to spot things. And then 4, what really kind of pushes XDR to the next level is some type of automation, right? Across your endpoints, being able to have things take care of themselves to help prevent breaches and stop ransomware before it starts. Where does XDR come from? It really comes either out of an EDR platform, an advanced version of that, or a SIEM. And really, at the end of the day, the XDR kind of takes both of those concepts, brings them together, adds a little bit of the SOAR concept, which is the security automation. And again, that automation and automated response kind of concept. So that's essentially what we've done here at Blumira, is taking those things, brought them all together. And again, made it as easy for a small IT team, 1-2 people, to be able to run something like an XDR platform and see real security value from it. So that's it from my portion. We are now turning it over to the maestro himself, Jack, to take it over and walk us through the actual product. Screen is all yours, Jack.
Okay. Thank you, John Eric, and welcome, everybody. I'm excited to show you some new and shiny, right? Because being a techie, that's what I get to do. Real quick, in the sense of if you've never seen Blumira before and listening with what John Eric just said, want to remind everyone the heart of Blumira is a SIM tool in the sense of open source, want to ingest all your logs. Obviously, we're focusing today on the XDR portion, and more specifically, what John Eric alluded to is that we're an open XDR platform, right? So that you bring what you have to Blumira, and that's where we help you. In today's demo, I'm going to be focusing on the Windows aspect, and we'll leave time for Q&A at the end. So when we look at the criteria of what does Blumira do with AHI, aka automatic host isolation, as part of the XDR story? Where I want to start with that criteria of what is Blumira looking to detect on is I'm going to go over to the detection rules here just to give you a high level of what we're looking at. So we're going to go into the items that, again, are specific to AHI, and it is this subset here. For those of you who may be a Blumira customer, this will look different, again, depending on the items that you're shipping in. For today's demo, and feel free to laugh along with me, I'm going to have a little fun, and we're going to pick a less nefarious source to test on because it's just more fun. When I'm saying there is the criteria for how you're telling Blumira, A, which devices do I want to allow to be automatically isolated, and B, which threat types do I want to allow to be part of that decision criteria. As I said here, I'm flipping this a little bit atypical on what you would normally do, because when we look at P1 here, and you can see this in the screen behind me, as we're looking at your most severe threats, again, a real world bad actor. This is part of that decision criteria, though, of you telling Blumira, I only want this subset to be acted upon. In conjunction with that, when we look at the Blumira agent itself, you also have the decision of excluding a device from the decision that is AHI. For example, domain controller. There are many valid reasons that you may not want to automatically isolate your domain controller, because that may be where you're handling all your logins, hence the name. When we talk about a Blumira asset that has been isolated, we are saying that we're stopping all traffic that is not coming out to Blumira. So, we're looking at lateral attempts there. We're looking at outbound attempts there. There's an SSH connection, an RDP connection. Any of those lanes that, again, a real world attacker would use, as we're stopping it there. Support for the Blumira agent, as we're showing here today in the Windows realm, is going to be anything Windows 10 and newer, and Windows Server 2012 R2 and newer. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind as we go forward. With that being said, again, just showing here the criteria that I have ready to go, and the machine that we're going to be picking on is the third one here in this list. Going to kick off a couple different fun things. This is a Windows Server 2022 VM, relatively minimally spec'd. I wanted to kick off this in real time because, as we all know, that Mr. Tim Cook proved that live demos are the best back when he had Wi-Fi issues, I think was on iPhone 3 or 3G. But I'm going to kick off Advanced IP Scanner, TeamViewer, and Splashtop, if I can type. These all being in the category of P3, in the sense of they're definitely can be legitimate tools that you'd be using in your organization. So again, here in real time, this being a relatively minimally spec'd VM, also behind other things, I want to show you how long it takes to move this asset both into isolation and out of isolation. Normal expectancy in this scenario is roughly 50 seconds or so. That's 50 seconds. It can definitely be faster, and there are situations where it's a pinch slower, but that's kind of an average here. And we'll see here, because it is a live demo, so you can all go along with me. And I'll also show after the fact, we'll just go into a manual isolation and then manual removal after the fact. So we'll wait for all of these to tick over here. You can see here, John Eric, was that just over 30 seconds or so is what happened there.
Yeah, I wasn't counting this time, Jack, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Again, the whole point of it, want to show everybody in real time, right? Because the proof is in the pudding. You can now see that this asset has been isolated. So I, as the Blumira admin, didn't do anything. So again, if we look at that example of middle of the night, I didn't need to wake up. This asset is now cut off.
And Jack, that's where the real true value of this lies, right? Is that you don't necessarily have to be eyes on glass all the time. When something really kicks in, it's going to take care of it. It's going to isolate it. and allow you to continue doing on with your sleep, on with your day, and handle it when you have the bandwidth to actually do so, which, can be really crucial for after hours or, a small team that doesn't have 24/7 coverage.
That's exactly correct, John Eric, is that when you're setting up Blumira, in addition to the SIM piece that's keeping an eye on your Mimecast and your Umbrella and your Windows assets in this case, is that you're making the decision when you install Blumira of how you want us to help you be protected. And so, John Eric, you alluded to that automatic decision is that whether you're in a meeting or not, you have chosen, and I'll pick on John Eric, is let's say something nefarious happened to his laptop, is that I can put that into an isolated state automatically, and then 2 hours later when I'm done doing whatever I'm doing, I can call John Eric and say, hey, did you enable advanced IP scanner when you shouldn't be doing that? It gives me that time to triage properly where I don't need to stop my meeting, et cetera, right? The whole idea is that Blumira is doing a lot of the heavy lifting so that you do not need to spend your entire day in your SIM product. Because even though John Eric and I are lucky enough to talk about SIM products all day, every day, we know that not everybody wants to do that.
And Jack, I guess the follow-up there is, like, we talk about the value of it and it isolating, but how does that actually stop the threat? Like, how does that prevent ransomware then?
Yep, and that is a much larger discussion. So talking about it from a high level, and I'm going to go ahead and move, as I talk through, I'm going to move this asset back into a regular state. And so here we have 10 minutes after the hour. I'm going to release this device. We'll switch back here, and you can see how quickly it comes back. To John Eric's question, why would you want to isolate a device? If we're looking at, again, a real world bad actor gaining a foothold in your environment, are they going to be spreading malware in your environment? Are they spreading malware to a server host, to a VM? Are they looking to brute force credentials from inside the network? Are they looking to steal information from a remote endpoint? What we know is that, again, when we look at the vast majority of real world attackers, is that we're remote. And so the act of putting an asset into an isolated state is we want to cut off that remote endpoint, thus killing their foothold within the environment, right? So there's much more pieces to that, but this is a really big ban hammer of let's cut off all connectivity that's not to Blumira, and a sense of, unless they're hands-on keyboard, again, which is a much lesser attack, as we know, we're going to cut them off and then stop that to help keep your environment safe. So we now can see that this asset's back in a working order. What happened, for those who have not seen any Blumira findings before, is that as soon as this asset went to the isolated state, Blumira sent me an email about which asset was in an isolated state and why. And so again, from the findings, again, we talk about Blumira telling you the story about what had happened. Is I'm going to show what this looks like. Is they were saying, hey, we saw TeamViewer on this particular device, and this goes into the isolated state there. So if you've never seen a Blumira playbook before, this is part of them, and this is where we can do fine tuning. This is where you can reach out to our support, the very standard portions of our Blumira product.
And so, Jack, let's say I was like, yep, this is it. Let's assume this wasn't one that we isolated and then unisolated. What steps would you take? How does this playbook actually help you resolve said issue?
From a high level, this is helping you start your investigation. So if it's you or a member of your team who may not know where to start that investigation, or why was this asset, why did Blumira send me an alert in the first place, we're going to tell you that story about what to look for. In this case, again, we're picking on TeamViewer, which may be totally legitimate software within your environment, but if it's not, we're going to tell you where it executed from, not necessarily why it executed, but we're going to tell you where it executed from, what we're looking at in particular in the sense of what executed, and where to go to stop it.
And then up top, I think I saw there's even a place to assign it out to somebody else, and some yes/no questions to kind of get it started.
That's correct. So again, when we look at Blumira being built for small teams, if it's just the two of us, again, I'll pick on John Eric. Let's say that I'm working on something else. I can go ahead and assign this to John Eric, and then he can work through the flows themselves, which will explode out and show the decision criteria for a particular finding. They're all unique, again, depending on the data type. We'll go over to Splashtop real quick just to show you that, again, these are all built based on the criteria that's shipped to Blumira. Two last things I wanted to cover real quick in the sense of the XDR platform itself is the block lists. So when we look at, again, that automatic piece is that should your firewall, the next gen firewall, support any dynamic block lists, Blumira is again going to further be part of that story, is that if we see, again, a nefarious IP in your environment, and we can go ahead and filter that right down to your firewall, and it'll be blocked without you needing to do anything additional, right? Further that story of Blumira helping you do the, helping to get those meticulous tasks off your plate so that you can get back to doing, what we say is fun to do, but what is meaningful for your day.
And Jack, just to clarify, so those block lists that we're talking about, those are something that's, I'm assuming it's our detection engineers that are coming up with and adding into the system and rolling them out to all of our customers?
That is correct, in addition to the community piece. So when I say community piece, if we're seeing a Blumira customer, we'll say customer ABC, in addition to, let's say, 20 other customers are all source blocking a particular IP. We'll pick on Cloudflare 1.1.1, great company, but we'll pick on them as an example. If we start to see a larger subset of customers blocking an IP, that is part of the community aspect, in addition to what John Eric mentioned, is that you can also maintain a more manual list or a purposeful, if you have a company that you have a strained relationship for whatever reason, you can add that in here on a one-off as well. John Eric, I know we're coming up on time and we wanted to open up for Q&A for the folks that have joined us here today. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to cover?
I think real quick, I would kind of show the integrations off that we have, because again, this XDR component's about building out your network. And then real quick, show the page for launching the actual agent, which you need to put on your endpoints to be able to do some of these things we're talking about.
Sure. So what John Eric is alluding to is there's two different pieces. There are cloud connectors, meaning that if you have any of the vendors on the screen here, this is a direct cloud connection, no bearing on any physical hardware you have for the ingestion piece alone. The other piece of what we're talking about for ingestion is a on-premise Linux VM or bare metal server, if you'd like to have fun that way. And this can ingest syslogs when looking at your networking components and whatnot. This is another area where we're ready to ingest syslog from anything inside your network. The last piece of what John Eric mentioned is the Blumira agent itself, where you build this out. Is this, we give you an installation key, and then again, the Blumira agent, if I click on the key itself, this has no bearing on the sensor, right? This is saying that traffic from your endpoint is going directly to the Blumira cloud. As long as you allow outbound at 443 and are not doing any SSL inspection, deep packet inspection, you are good to go. That is all that we need to ingest information and help you with the automatic host isolation.
That's great. And Jack, just to reiterate kind of where we started, all of these things, even the installation of the agents and all the integrations are built for that small team, that limited resources team. And it's very quick and easy to get set up. I mean, Jack, if you had somebody ready to go with all their admin access, like 0 to 100 fully deployed, how long does that take you to get everything out the door?
As John Eric mentioned, if I have everything and we're ready to go, I'm confident that on a 2-hour call, we could do 98% of what I need to do. I leave that 2%, John Eric, is that there's always fine tuning with any piece of software. But this is not a piece of software that we need to take weeks or months to set up. And I'd also add to that, John Eric, this can be ready for medium teams as well, is that right. If you're not in a place where you need to hire 3 SOC analysts, this can be a complement to your stack as well.
That's great. That's great. We've got 2 minutes left before our 20 minutes is up. We might roll over a little bit with some of these questions, but we've got 2 here to get to. One, it says, I see it was set, the host isolation was set by priority level, P1, P2, and P3. Can you give some examples of what P1 threats would be?
Yes, so I'll go back over here to the detection rules, and detection rules extend to everything outside automatic host isolation as well. But I'm going to flip over to the rules that are specific to AHI. So let's pick on the Bloodhound file write. This is an example, right, of a P1 here, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just specific to my lab environment. So again, this will look different for every single customer, but this is an example of a P1 here too, and so we'll see. Pick on the ASREP roasting attacks, P2, right? You can see all the examples on the screen here. This is going to be your jumping off point about what is a P1 through 3.
That's awesome. And those are set by, again, our IDE team to help you kind of prioritize when those findings come in, which ones are most important to take care of.
That's correct.
That was a good segue into the next question. Who creates said detections and what are they based on, Jack?
Yeah, so the IDE team that John Eric alluded to is the incident detection and engineering team here at Blumira. Their whole job is to write these rules, to test these rules, to be aware of 0 days, to be aware of CVEs, in the sense of when you've heard me say several times during this webinar, but when we talk about Blumira doing the heavy lifting for you, is that we're putting these in the console, meaning we're building out the detections, meaning when we say set it and forget it, we're getting out in front of it for you, so that, again, you can continue to do what you need to do. But that was a long way to say that's the ID team here at Blumira that's writing that. And for anyone who's not a Blumira customer, there's always the situations that we're open to where if you want a custom rule written that's unique to you and your environment, that's definitely something that we can help facilitate.
That's awesome. We are at 1:20 exactly by my watch. And that's all the questions we had. So, Jack, any final comments or thoughts to share with the folks today?
Nothing. I appreciate everybody's time here today and look forward to talking with you soon.
And with that, if you liked what you saw today and you kind of want to get your hands on it yourself, type trial into the chats or the question box, and we will get you set up with a one-on-one meeting here with Jack to, again, get this deployed within your environment. 2 hours is fully 98% there, but even an hour, you're getting what, probably 75% there, Jack? Yep. So 1 hour, you can have this up and running and give it a trial in your environment. So let us know if we can help, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone.